Hello, my name is Vitos from Vitos Academy, and today I will continue with the Party Invites application, adding a database to it. Pretty much as you remember, we had the last time up to here, we had the controllers showing good morning and good afternoon whenever we asked for it. We had a RSVP form, which was doing some stuff, and we were listing the responses. Pretty much like this. We had a nick, fancy email, favorite animal, and will you attend? Yes, I will attend. Submit RSVP. Then click here to see who is coming and a list of the party people. However, this was not in a database. So whenever we had to close our application and run it over again, we were losing all the data that we have entered. So pretty much now that's why we are going to add a database to the project and to make it a bit more interesting this way. So adding a database. We need what do we need to add the database? We need pretty much to add like this a new solution, new project, not new solution, and then write not table but a database. Yes, this is okay. C#. Nope. So adding a database goes like this: add new project, and then we select SQL Server database project, this one. We click next and we name it PartyDB. Click on create. Pretty fair. I already had a project called PartyDB because I came a little prepared. So PartyDB2, this is how I'm gonna name it. Create. Wait a bit. Until it's created. And now we need to add a table. I just clicked something, but let's see. Add table. New item. In the item, look for a table. Simply call it table and name it party people. This is how a table looks like. So it should be better in a folder. The folder would be called DBO. And then another folder called tables. So let's move party people to the folder table. Yes. Thank you. So what do we need in our party people table? Pretty much, of course, we need an ID, which should also be identity. Currently it's just a primary key. We will make it identity later. So what do we need inside a table? We need a nickname, and the nickname should be narvarchar50, which is quite okay. Allow no is okay. Fancy mail instead of email, also and varchar50. Should be actually a bit higher, but okay. Favorite animal and varchar50. And let's call it animal name, which is a bit different and we didn't have it before, but it will be changed a bit. Okay, so save. And what do we do now? Pretty much here, and we write publish. party db2, create profile, edit. Let's write create profile, save profile as party db2, save. Yeah. Overwrite, go advanced. Everything looks okay. Data tier application. Oh, wait, everything's wrong. I mean, I had to target a database connection first. And so, just forget about everything. And yeah, so database connection, browse, local, MS SQL DB, test connection, of course, localhost works. Database name. Which database name it would be? This one. MVC demo DB2. No, it wouldn't be this one. It would be let's think about a database. I have quite a lot of databases. Let's skip the database. Which work okay, and write the database ourselves, party db2. It generated also the security string, the connection string. Now write publish. And now if we go to view and SQL Server Object Explorer, we will get this nice window. Then going to clicking pretty much refresh would allow us to go to party db2, and there in tables we'll see our table, which pretty much looks like this once it loads, of course. So it has ID, nickname, fancy mail, favorite, animal, and animal name, and primary key clustered ID ascending. That's cool. Wait a bit until it loads. As long as it takes, this time I would probably not edit it back. So it loaded. Looks like this. We can also see what's in our database, viewing data. And this is the wrong database I'm watching. Should be this one, party db2, view data. Nothing. Yes. What is interesting to say is about this thing that our ID is not identity. So what should we do in order to make our ID identity? It means that we should not actually take care of incrementing the key. On the contrary, it should start incrementing itself. I just pressed F4 now, selecting this. So selecting this, pressing F4, and then identity specification, going to is identity true, identity increment 1, identity seed 1. We can try to see what happens if we increment it by 5. Well, it should be 1, 6, 11, and so on. Let's give it a try. So we save this. Yeah, party PostgreSQL is pretty good. Yes, replacing it. And now we start about thinking how to connect the database to the code. Pretty much in order to do it, we need somehow to explain that nickname, for example, in the database corresponds to the nickname of the person answering the request pretty much. So in views, if you go to views, for example, or in repository, okay, not repository, in the guest response, you would see that we have nickname here, we have fancy mail, we have favorite mail, and we have the we attend. And in our database, this should be mapped to those ones. Okay, the we attend, I would simply skip it because I would only write the ones that are going to attend in our database. So let's see, what do we need to do? We need to, a way to do it is to add an additional class, and there we are going to add everything. It would be a class, it would be an additional project, it would be a class library actually, like this one, and it would be called party library. And I will name it party library 2 because following the convention with party db2, because I already have party library 1 in my ASP folder, which I would remove later. So what do we have in party library 1? So we have some class that I'm going to delete just for the sake of it, and I'm going to add a new class, new item, name pretty much guest model, and I'll make it public. So what should we have in this guest model? In this guest model, we should have some information about our database. Pretty much we would have the public int ID, get set, the one like the database. It would be completely different than the one in repository, because the one in the guest response, because as you see here, we don't have the ID, for example. But yeah, it would be like this. If we write prop and we click twice tab, then we can get something else. So public string nickname, prop public string fancy mail, prop public string favorite animal, then we have the we attend, I'll simply skip it, and then we have animal name. That's another convention that I'm gonna show later. Why do we have animal name, although we are not actually having any data where the animal should be staying? Well, it's okay. Let's see. Further, we go to the data access, and we need to find a way for our application to access the data from the data entry into the database. Pretty much, it's a new class named data access. Make it public. And the first things we need is something I'll use in order to get the connection string. Get connection string. It is static, so I don't have always to initialize our class whenever I need it. Okay, get connection string. It's not happy because it doesn't return a value. So now write return this, and now we have to find a way to get the connection string pretty much. So we go to party db2 properties, and here we look for something that looks like a connection string. I guess this is it in general. Yes, a way to do it is simply to copy it and to paste it here. There are better ways to do it. For example, writing it somewhere in the initial folders, which would be actually overwritten whenever you upload to Git. Not overwritten, but not uploaded to Git once you upload to Git. So this way you can have your connection string secured. But in this case, our connection string is towards the local DB. So we'll simply leave it this way. As far as it works. And something else that we should do is to find a way to save our data pretty much. So how would you save the data? We would need another public static save int save data type T in order to save the data. So pretty much I'm passing the SQL and the data here. And what I'm going to do is using SQL Connection con equal new SQL connection, and from here I will be using the get connection string. So the good thing with when we are working with using is that once the using is over and we achieve this place, the connection will be closed correctly and we wouldn't have an open connection. So here we would use connection dot execute SQL and data. Okay, what do we why is it here like red? Probably because we haven't added something. Yes, what haven't we added is the system configuration manager, and it cannot be added with the point, but it should be added into here with the reference. So we go here and we add system into projects, shared projects. So how do we add the SQL connection? We go to dependencies and there manage NuGet, and then we look for system.data system.configuration manager. I'll take the one with the most downloads, this one, latest table, and install. Then wait a bit. Still having some problems, but this way, whenever we press Ctrl and dot, we can do this. Execute suggested actions, system data SQL client. And it appeared. And now everything is perfect. Oh, another problem, but it is a technical one, this one here. So, that's pretty much interesting. Still having some problems. Okay. We need something that would allow us to execute the connection, and this something is actually a tool developed by the Stack Overflow team, one of my favorite websites where I'm a bit active with VBA mainly. So in order to do it, we should install also Dapper. How should we do it? Same way, manage NuGet packages, browse Dapper. So this one, developed by Stack Exchange, the one that are working with Stack Overflow, latest table, and then clicking on install, accepting, and watching what's happening. Okay, it is there. So let's continue. Once we have it, click on using Dapper, control.net using Dapper, and we still have 3 problems. Let's see the problems. Okay, first one, we need something is expected. Oh yeah, additional. Yeah. So from three problems everything is solved. What we can do is press Ctrl dot and remove the unnecessary usings. It won't actually put a lot of performance, but it looks a bit better. So let's go back to the party library. We have data access, we have guest model. What else do we need? We need something to process our guests. Pretty much to add the guests to the database whenever we do it, whenever we ask for it. So this thing, I'll call it guest processor, like this. And we'll make it public. And then what should we add in it? Well, pretty much just one thing. It would be a public static int create guest. So like this, and it would return pretty much not implemented exception currently. Okay. Return throw new not implemented exception. It doesn't like it. Okay, it doesn't allow to throw, so return, let's say 1. Now, let's see. What should we have here? In the create guest, we would be getting some data from the input form. So currently it would be the nickname, the fancy mail, the favorite animal, and then yeah, this would be enough. Then we will have guest model data, a variable of type guest model called data. It will be new guest model, and there our nickname would be the small nickname, of course. The fancy mail property would be the small fancy mail, so pretty much this one is the one from here, and like this one is the one from here, and this one is the one from here, from the past properties. So fancy mail. What else do we have? Favorite animal. And then animal name. With the animal name, what I'll do is getting the first one symbol of the nickname, the first letter of the nickname, plus a string the y out plus favorite animal. So pretty much if the guy coming would be Vitush Academy, his animal name would be V the y out, let's say favorite animal lion, like this. I'll remove this. So we need a way to execute the string SQL. So we'll pass our SQL would be looking like this. We add a at in order to avoid certain characters, and to explain to .NET that we are also dealing with stuff like at nickname in order to pass the character. So what do we write is a simple insert into dbo.partypeople And now start nickname, fancy mail, favorite animal, animal name, and I think this would be it. Now close the parentheses and continue. Values at nickname. This one is this one, although it is string. The .NET would be good enough to understand what's happening here. So fancy mail, then favorite animal, then animal name, and then close the parentheses, column, stop. Okay, and now we're going to return pretty much data dot save data. Okay. And data save data would not be happy because it shouldn't be data, it should be actually data access dot save data, and in here we write the data in the SQL pretty much like this, and we hope it works. Okay, save data works. What's happening here? Why is it not happy? Yes, because of missing column. No issues found. That's my favorite green stuff. So continue, and let's find a way to actually tell the database from our interface, from our controller interface, that it has to actually do some stuff with the entered data. So in the home controller, we would go to the RSVP form, this one, and of course if the model is valid, we would only work whether the model state is valid. This is from the previous time, and we will simply rename it like this: int created equals create guest, and we start guest response dot nickname, guest response dot fancy mail, then guest response favorite animal, and guest response dot will attend. So add response, guest response, return view, thanks. This looks like okay. Let's go to the thanks view. Wait, create guest does not exist in the current context. Of course it does not exist because we need a guest processor. What would you need? Should we do with the guest processor? We can use it like a static party library. Party library, pretty much this one, party library 2. Dot, and we're going to go with guest processor. Control dot. Doesn't work. So why doesn't it work? It is because party invites does not know for the existence of party library 2, and in order to let it know for the existence, we should add references to the dependencies. We go to project and we add one to the party library 2. I also add one for the party db2 because we're gonna need it later. Click on this one and control dot. Clicking on save, create guest. Pretty much it realizes it, but it says something interesting. It needs an additional argument. 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments. So what can we do is pretty much we can add the fourth argument. It needs 4 and we are giving 4. No, 1, 2, 3. Show potential fixes. Yeah, of course. It should be also guest responses with attend. Yeah. So no overload of method takes 4 arguments. Okay. See, then we can pretty much go back and fix the will attend part. Pretty much bool will attend. Yes, now we have 4 arguments here. So back to the controller. Everyone's happy. Great. What else do we need? It would be great if we go to the view probably and see whether how it works. The view is called thanks. Looks like this. So the view should be pretty much the same. Let's take a look and check. So let's check what we have. Clicking on the RSVP form, writing Vitush Academy, this mail, found favorite animal, not tiger or lion from the previous time, but let's say, yeah, and crocodile. Yeah, submit RSVP. Of course, it tells us that we should specify whether we should be there, and we take a look. After submitting, the question is, would it go to the SQL server or not? Pretty much. Simply opening our SQL server, and we see that we cannot insert null value into column ID table. Does not allow nulls. Insert fails. Wow. Let's see the data. Whoa, the data was okay. We made it up to here. That's pretty good. So once again, database, PartyDB2 tables, and then take a look why it didn't like what it saw, why it didn't allow us to designer to insert the value. I'll simply close it. Yep, int not null. So view explorer, view data. Well, let's try again. I think the reason is that it didn't save itself correctly. F4 on the PartyDB. No, F4 here. We don't have a auto increment, obviously reason in the SQL, which is the reason. Properties, this is the other way. And here we should take a look where the auto increment is. Well, let's try again. Let's try 2 columns. Okay. Here, it's not auto incremented, which is kind of strange. Is identity true? but it does not want to update itself, which is a bit unfortunate. Let's try once again. Okay, refresh and try once again. And this is how to debug when you have a bit slow PC. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so what do we do? Pretty much we select the ID. The problem is that we don't see the auto increment here. Obviously it didn't save somehow. So we click here on the ID. And then we go to the identity specification. Yes, it is identity. Yes, it is with 1. And I would make the incrementation with, let me see, in order to start 10 and 20, okay, we'll start with 10 and we would increment by 10 every time. Okay, so it should be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So this way we click save, party people, SQL, okay, replace, as I said, yes. And let's see now whether it would work once we click on the express thing. The page loaded, going to RSVP, your nick, let's say Joey at friends.friends, favorite animal of Joey Duck, and yes, I will attend, confirm RSVP. Doesn't look good. And again, the same problem, that it does not allow no's. Insert failed. Okay, probably again we didn't save it correctly, which is a bit strange, but let's. Okay, so the idea is that actually we shouldn't be simply saving it somewhere, like in our case, somewhere in my computer, but we should actually go to the party DBO, tables party SQL, and from here we should be actually editing our beloved identity, which is identity incrementing by 10, starting with 10. And now save. Now it looks okay, and now run the whole party and check. After some time it loaded, so RSVP. Let's go back with Joey at friends.friends and the duck. Yes, Joey would be attending, submit. And unbelievably happy. Let's continue to see how it looks like. Wow. Yes, obviously what is the problem? The problem is that we are awaiting something which is not there. The insert fails because we cannot insert anything into the ID. And the reason we are not inserting anything to the ID is an interesting reason. Okay, because this way we have the identity. But we do not have the auto increment, I think. Let's continue. Okay, identity specification, full text specification, table designer. Okay, identity seed 1, auto increment 10. Name ID alone, no false. Okay, the easiest one is to write true, but I don't want it this way. So, okay, let's do it the correct way. And Also this one is primary key. Yeah. Save. Great. Last but not least, quickly going through the RSVP form. Set Joey, favorite animal duck, who would attend. I've seen this, been there. Okay, the reason is that we probably didn't publish the change. Target database connection. Just guessing here. Local, okay. SQL. Mm, database name. This one. Okay. Publish script name. That's the thing. Party DBS DB2. Yes. Let's remove this. Let's write publish. Let's go here and refresh. So the ID looks pretty good to me, at least. Mm, yeah, it also has the data increment. So let's try once again. Let's not losing anything. Simply the time of the YouTubers. So what did happen this time? Let's see. Joey from France with a duck. Who would attend? Yes. Okay, Joey is coming. What are we interested in is not only there because this is what we have before, but also here. Would Joey be also visible here? Yes, he would be. Well, what is greater than this? I mean, complete application that actually writes to a database in B2C Academy with friends. Crocodile, yes. Let's just make sure that that it works completely. Going to the party database and clicking refresh and refreshing the table and refreshing the table once again. And then stop the application and refresh the table. Refresh the database and refresh. View data. Okay, remove this and then view data. Okay, now it is here. Okay, although it's localhost, it somehow works. Okay, that's pretty good. So what do we need next? We need actually to show all the things from the database, because from the database uh, to the website, because currently it's not showing everything. I run it, if I run it and click on the RSVP button here and put, let's say, additional thing with a tiger, it would only show us one actually, but in the database they would be three. Of course, if it cares to refresh today. View code. Okay, refresh. Party people. It should be three, coming slowly probably. Or probably opening and closing is how it works the best. Okay, so this is the bad thing. Like here, we have only one. I mean here, and on the other one we have already three. So let's think. What should we do in order to make the thing? So the answer is a simple one. We need a new controller and a new view. So we go to the home controllers and we add a new public view result, a new controller named list all responses. So what should we do in the list of responses? Pretty much list of responses should be getting an access to the database. How do we get an access to the database? First name we need is connection string, and it goes to data access dot get connection string. Of course, get connection string. Speaking about this one, data access get connection string is not a possible one because we are not having any using here. Control dot using party library. Cool. Something slowly start working. Okay, this one is not all codes, but yeah, this is for the end. It's not currently working. Then we need to return somehow a list, and the list would be of type guest model, and the name would be guest list. Yeah, it's a simple list on the guest model. Guest model is the model here with all the properties. Yes. So using SQL Connection, con is a new name, nice, great name for SQL Connection. SQL Connection, passing the connection string. What do we do using it? Well, some fun. It's not happy with some stuff here. Control and dot collection generic because of the lists. Okay, SQL Connection con using system data SQL client. Okay, everyone's happy now. Okay. So con.open, opening the connection, then string SQL. Okay, this is something you should never do it professionally using a star, because people are getting crazy about it, but for a YouTube video it's okay. I guess. Do not throw it on me. I told you. So command new SQL command, and we pass the SQL and the connection. Yes, and we need a reader as well. SQL data reader. The reader is the guy actually, or the class that reads. Data reader. Reader equals cmd execute reader. Yes, quite nice. So while the idea is, while the reader is reading, do the following: guest model, guest equals new guest model, and let's feed the guest model with what it's written, what it needs. So nickname is reader nickname to string guest fancy mail is the one of with fancy mail to string, and guest.animal name is reader animal name dot to string. I think this is enough actually. So we only need to read the three: nickname, fancy mail, and animal name. Okay, let's change it a bit and write it here so we completely remove the star fancy mail, because the star is really bad. I mean, select star from is something that can get you in trouble. in a big trouble, but in a medium trouble for sure. And then guest list, simply add guest. Yep. Would it work? Of course, so far no. We need to return this as a view. And of course we need to pass the guest list as a model there. So what do we do further? I would say simply go to list responses, copy and paste it, not like this. Control Z works for us. Copy and paste it and rename it to our controller list O responses. That's great. Okay, our model is of type list. So party library 2 dot guest model. Yes. Layout equals new. I remove the layout equals new just to see what it does. So now we just comment it. K and C is the shortcut for commenting, and K and U is the shortcut for uncommenting. So or control now. So selecting control C. Okay, then everything here looks cool. Just change it to view O list O responses. Wait. Yeah, I was in the wrong file. So here, just remove it. Okay, let's see whether everything is okay. This is in list responses like this, and list O responses is like this. Okay, so list responses should be the correct one, as it was in list O responses. Should be the edited one. So let's see here. Yeah. Okay, responses, all responses. It's dangerous to change stuff in table that we don't expect anything. Okay, nickname, fancy mail, favorite mail. Works pretty much okay. This is absolutely rough. So for each party library 2 dot guest model. Can we only try guest model? No. Guest model, guest in model. No, it doesn't like it. So it's party library 2 dot guest model. Yeah, now it likes it. Okay, we will simply rename it G. It's for guest. And I will simply say G. Okay. Nickname. Nickname is not exactly written like this. It's written like this. Fancy mail. And favorite animal is pretty much correct. Why the for each is not happy? Okay, that's the thing that we should always think. It was a list of party library 2 dot guest model. And now, if we delete this, would it work? No. Okay. Everything looks good. Let's try it. So, RSVP, and unique. Yes, I attend. Click here to see who is coming, and we only see that's one friend. The reason is that we go to list responses, and if we do it like this, list all responses, wow, we get everything perfect. Cool. Click here to invite all friends, and in order to be able also from the very beginning to see list all responses, I'll simply add the link to the main part, pretty much first one was my view. And here we should add the list or responses thing. The list or responses thing, we took it from the RSVP form. So from the thanks form, I mean. So here we just go and we put this to the my view part. It's good if it stays in the body. And I'm going to make sure that okay, list responses and list or response. I want both of them. Click here to see who is coming from this session, who is coming in from database, from DB. Yeah. So let's go back to our thing. Simply refresh it and expecting the two links to show up. Well, show there, but it's okay. Okay. So from this session, Vitosh Academy, and from the DB, all of these four. And we also may add more and more, but what for? Here to invite more friends. Here, yes, favorite animal. Oh, that's interesting. Favorite animal didn't show up at all. And now we can quickly take a quick look why the favorite animal didn't show up at all. I guess the reason is in the home control. I made some kind of a mistake here. Yeah. Actually, I want to pass not animal name. But I want to pass something else. No, animal name is quite okay actually. Let's see. I mean, yeah. Let's put a stop here and see what's going on. Add one. Favorite animal lion. Let's click here to see who is coming. Didn't even thought about. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Click here to invite. Clear to see the data coming from the database, from the DB. So animal name new, because animal name to string probably does not exist. Yeah. Wow. Impressive. Let's go to the database. Animal name. Copy exactly how it is written. And let's view the data. We have some animal names. Yeah. So let's close this and think what exactly is not okay. I mean, animal name, exactly the same name, same way. Animal name, reader animal name to string. Okay, reader. Let's continue with F11. Yeah, I want. I don't want to be notified. Okay, let's go to guest. Animal name Joy the Wild Duck. Sorry. Fancy mail, favorite animal, no. See, we have animal name and we don't have favorite animal. Yeah, but I mean we have the animal name or animal name, nickname. Yeah, okay. Then pressing F11 again. Then the reason should be probably in the view in list or responses. Yeah, of course. We should write animal name here. Yes. And then going back and getting data from the database. Yes, exactly, that's the thing. We were asking for animal name, for our favorite animal, but we weren't passing it. So let's see. Press continue. Edit for main cannot be applied while debugging. Click stop to continue debugging. Click stop to stop debugging. Click edit to make changes to the code. Stop. And once again, let's see whether everything is okay. So let's see whether our thing with the database tries. Wow, works, and we have a favorite animal. And at this point, I think it's became really a huge, big, long video, mainly because of my debugging skills. Yeah, so I would like to say thank you for watching, and thank you for staying with me so many hours. I mean, probably above 1 hour, I guess. Depends on the edition. How do I edit the video further? So, once again, thanks, and see you later.